Hi, Misha here, and figured I'd better do another Blackbox because this is my last night out at the cabin. Again, you know, one of the downsides when you get older, time passes very quickly. It really sucks when you are having a good time. You know, one of the benefits to getting older is time passes very quickly, which is very good when times are bad. And I've had both recently. February was not the worst month of my life. I don't want to even say that, not even close, but it had its challenges and travails. I already told you about losing Hobo, and there were some other things too. Neither here nor there, just, you know, life stuff. So I got through it and then came out here. Timing was excellent. It was just a perfect time to get out here, relax, recover, catch up on work. But it also went fast. Oh well. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think I'm, if not exactly happier out here, I think I'm better balanced out here. You know, more at peace. I think that's the right word for it. The thing is, let's just say hypothetically, I made the cabin a bigger place and moved out here. Would that continue? Am I so happy here because it's being here? Or am I so happy here because I'm getting away from kind of the doldrums, the day-to-day life? And honestly, I don't know the answer. Unfortunately, there's no way to really find out that answer until and unless I moved out here. And if the answer was positive, yeah, I'm happier here, great. But if it was, oh crap, I made a mistake, I'm not happier here, you know, then I'd ruin something good. It's like vacationing. People are happy on vacations, but, you know, you wouldn't want to live there. And I don't know. It's just a thought I had. I don't know. So maybe this kind of me staying here part-time, and about not quite half my life is here now. I'd say, yeah, 40% of my time I'm spending here, generally speaking. Of course, again, February wasn't able to come out for over a month, so about 6 weeks. I was out here for 2 weeks, and then I go back. And, you know, things happen. It's March 22nd, and about 2 weeks I've got a doctor's appointment, so I've got to be up there for that. And then a couple weeks after that's Easter. I'm sure I'll be down here for that. So I figure I'll come back mid-April. April 9, 10, somewhere in there, stay through. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what's going on at that point in life. But no, this trip to the cabin went smoothly. I think I'm starting to work out some of the kinks, some of the things, because every time I came out before, I would need something or realize I needed to do something. I worked out the food situation. I only started to kind of get skinny on food the last couple of days, and I can stretch a point. There's always a case of ramen in the cabinet if needs be. Things like that. Pretty much got everything I need out here now. Settled in comfortably. Know my routine, know my pattern. So that's really nice. And we're coming up on a year. It was right at a year ago, in March 2024. J-Ro and I came out here. The cabin was not quite in the dry yet, but, you know, foundations were laid, the walls were there, the roof was about half on. I sat on the swing, the swing in the spot, and did some videos, talked about upcoming range projects. And in some ways that seems like a lifetime ago. And in some ways it's amazing how fast things happen. The first night I spent out here was the eclipse night, April 7, April 8. I don't know if I'll be able to come out here for that night. Again, doctor's appointment, I need to see when that is. It would be neat if I was able to be here that exact same night a year later, but I may have to fudge it by a couple of days, close enough for government work. But yeah, I'm coming up on my anniversary of spending the night. Now, to be fair, that first night, it was little more than camping. I had 4 walls, I had windows, I had a roof, I even had a temporary power, 1 power socket, but that's about it. So it was pretty basic. No running water, no well even, things like that. Didn't really start getting that stuff until late last summer. And I'm looking forward to enjoying spring out here. I would say it's my favorite season, but then I think fall is my favorite season. Then again, I love the peacefulness, the serenity of winter. And I'll be honest, summer is probably my least favorite season. But it's just because it lasts so long here in Arkansas. The first half of summer, June and partial July, I really like it. After about 4th of July, then I'm kind of over it. Although to be fair, last August wasn't too bad. So it'll be interesting. I'm starting to kind of meet people out here, neighbors, getting to know the guy at the post office down the road. That's proven to be very good. Last time I was out here, one of my stressors to get back into town was to ship product for my business. And I definitely still have things I need to ship. But luckily, this trip, a family member needed to go back really close to where I live to pick up a title to a vehicle he bought. So I hitched a ride with him. We went and got his title. He wanted to go by the Bass Pro Shop to get a new rod and reel. They were running a trade-in special. And that's actually the other side of my house. So literally we had to go by my house to go to his 2 places. So I picked up all the guns that had sold and been paid for by that point, Monday. Came back here and was able to get them all boxed and everything and print labels. And was able to get them over to the post office down the road. It's about 10 miles down the road to this tiny little rural post office that is basically the size of a closet. But it works. And so I got everything up to Tuesday shipped. And I intentionally didn't really list new things on Gunbroker this week. I've got some things to list, but they'll keep. And so I do have 7 or 8 things that need shipping now, but they're not overdue. The most recent purchase, I think, was Thursday. So as we get into the weekend and such, I'll get back, get things shipped. So that's one big stress I don't have this time, is being well backed up on shipping. But new things already came in for videos, and things need to go out. A friend's going to come by on Tuesday to help me do that. So at least maybe I can rest up a bit when I get home Monday before having to turn right around. And that's usually how it works for me. It's pretty frantic right when I get back, unloading stuff, getting ready. But that's all right. Again, as much as I think in my head it would be nice to live out here full time, I'm sure the reality would not be as good. It's kind of nice to have a place to get away from too, because right now it's special to be out here. If I was here 24/7, it would cease being special and then just be, home. And maybe when I retire, which isn't for not quite 20 years, I'll hit the retirement age. Maybe this will be the place for me then. I don't know. Who knows? Life can change a lot, but it is working out well. I was able to get quite a few shooting days in. I think looking at my file folders, I download each day and its own. I think there are 6 different shooting days. Now, a couple of them are just, 2 guns. And I'm really enjoying that, because before we had to load up everything, all the, guns, ammo, mags, whatever, go wherever we shot, hope we shot everything, load it all back up, clean the guns, go home, put them back in the safe, all in one day. Now, I can just kind of focus in on a couple of guns at a time and shoot them. And if I want, shoot them more and more, which is why when we did the recent video on the HKMR 556A4, I actually was able to shoot it 4 or 5 times, different days. I mean, probably putting not 1,000 rounds through it, but well over 500, which is a lot for me and what I do. We were able to finish up the SAM 5 project, even though after putting all the time and effort, YouTube decided to age restrict it for reasons unknown to me. I think it's because I talked about putting a rubber buffer in there and they don't like that, even though it doesn't make it full auto. Who cares? Whatever, YouTube. At least it's done. I even did a few things just for me. I shot a Smith & Wesson 686 357 Magnum. It won't get many views, but that's okay. Revolvers never do. I just felt like shooting not classic exactly, but a stainless steel revolver. There's just something sexy about it. And I say this as a Gen Xer, not a boomer, but I get where some of the revolver guys come from. I don't go into the $3,000-$4,000 ooh la la revolvers, but $500, $1,000 revolver. They are nice. They are neat. I'm not gonna dismiss that, and they are surprising and a lot of fun in a lot of ways. I did that and have already a few guns waiting for me. I didn't bring it out because I'm more interested in the rifle, but I do have a HK MR556A4 pistol that I'm sure will make an appearance or two in a video just for comparison, even if we don't shoot it, because I mean it's gonna shoot the same. Also picked up one of the, I think it's 1,000 Bundeswehr P8A1s that HK USA imported. I don't know. Price was right. It wasn't crazy. Kind of funny story about that. Years ago, a customer and YouTube viewer tried to get me to buy a P8A1 that he imported. I think he brought over 5. And at that time, he wanted 1,500, 1,600. And I was like, nah, I get it. It's neat, but that's too much for my blood for a USP. I know they're special, but I'm glad I waited because I got it for almost half that. So there, I'm kind of interested, just for fun. But yeah, it doesn't do anything that other USPs do not do. But it'll go well with my other Bundeswehr stuff. My Walther P1 G3, which is actually not German. G36, which is German. And yeah, probably that HK MR556A4. That's looking suspiciously like it's going to become a keeper. It was fun. I think it's not a bad investment. I know people poo-poo the prices. The truth is, even though people talk about them being $3,900, $4,000, the actual street price has already dropped to $3,300, and that will drop further, closer to $3,000. I say this as a dealer, knowing dealer pricing on them. Dealers could sell them for about that and still make money. Not a ton of money, but money. So eventually they'll get there. And that's not to even say that HK won't lower the price eventually. For a company that supposedly hates us, HK, they've given us the SP5, the SP5K, the SP5 PDW, including now doing them with the paddle mag release and push button. They have brought over those limited edition P8A1s. Not only did they do the MR556A4 rifle, for the first time they did a 416 pistol and the A4 pistol. For someone who hates this, they're sure doing a lot for the market. Heck, they did that video with James talking about importing a semi-automatic MP7 as the CP7. And maybe even a semi-automatic G36 as the C36. I'll be honest with you, I could see the CP7 coming to fruition because you could do one as a pistol, not dissimilar to the SP5 PDW. The only crux there would be the caliber, the 4.6 mil. We don't really have a source for that, but of course that's an opportunity for them as well. If they can also import the ammo, they can do a double whammy, not just sell you a gun once, but sell you a case of ammo every how often you need it. So in some ways, what is its big detraction could become its asset. Now, the C36, don't get me wrong, it would come in as a G36C, I'm sure, with a 9-inch barrel. I don't have a C. Never have actually owned one, although I have fired one once at a machine gun place. I would buy it in a heartbeat. However, since the G36 is kind of not in production anymore, really, they moved on, I would be more surprised if that happened. Plus, if you give U.S. Customs a chance to ban one of them and allow the other in, I think the CP7 will come in as a quote-unquote pistol much easier than the C36. But, I mean, hell, what do I know? But, yeah, we'll see what happens. There is something happening on the Swiss front. I'm not really at liberty to say what. I will say that a new platform is currently at ATF for evaluation, and if they give it the green light, there'll be some new Swiss things coming in later on, hopefully this year, but you never know. There's a lot of ifs right there. And despite what folks think about the new Republican administration, the reality is the ATF is not going anywhere, and they're not any more or less, for that matter, likely to approve or not approve importation. The reality is that not a whole lot seems to have changed over there. So, yeah. There's some new stuff going on in the other side of things. On the AK side, the Grom ammo, we're going to do an update on that, talking about if it is really corrosive or maybe not actually corrosive. Doing some group testings, nothing strenuous or really heavy-handed, but at least trying to make a handful of 5-shot groups and see what we get. I think it'll do fine. It's 7.6239. People aren't going to buy it to shoot sniper rounds or DMR shots with. I get it, you don't want something that groups for trash, but that cartridge, while it has several good things to say about it, accuracy is not one of them. It's a relatively wide, relatively short bullet, moving relatively slow. Its benefit is more the punch, the penetration, just being a big, sturdy bullet going through there. Kind of like 45, that's the same kind of area it excels in. So as long as it groups, 2 to even maybe outside 3 MOA, it'll be fine. But we'll get there. A lot of ideas, a lot of things to look into. In some ways I feel like I accomplished a lot in these 2 weeks, and other things that I think of all the things I didn't get to do. It has been hard to do videos for this personal channel because when I'm able to pretty much go outside and shoot guns anytime I want most days of the week, I end up doing that. I end up kind of pushing there. And, when I have time, I'll do something for this channel, but it just lately isn't working. It'll change though. Probably when it gets too hot or there's not new gun stuff to talk about, or just when I feel like it. I did record 4 or 5 videos for this channel, so I'll put them up over the next couple of weeks. Got those done. Didn't get a couple of the bigger ones I wanted to do done, but I'm not going to force myself to do something if I'm not kind of in the zone for it. That's not what this channel's about. For the main channel, I do consider it an obligation. I do consider it work, so I will push ahead as best I can there. But this one, it's only when I'm kind of feeling the feels for it. But things will change. I had a lot of heavy things in my mind, so it was kind of hard to do fun, goofy videos here or whatever. When I go back home, out here I didn't think about Miss Hobo a whole lot because she never came to the cabin. She wasn't a travel cat. She was perfectly happy to wait for me at home. She even had a spot by the door she'd kind of wait. There's a bench by our front door, and she'd wait on that bench sometimes for me. I know once I get there, I will subconsciously look for her, expect her, even offhandedly call to her. For example, when I got up in the mornings every day for the past, what would it be? Got her in 9 years, nearly 9 years, because we got her mid 2016, and it's first quarter of 2025. When I get up, go to the bathroom, sit down, do my business, kind of that was my wake up routine. Then usually hop in the shower. She would come into the bathroom without fail and just kind of boop me, headbutt me on the leg. Just, boop. And I usually reach down and scratch her ears just for a second. Sometimes she'd stay or jump up next to me on the counter, next to the sink. Sometimes she'd go over and eat some food, or sometimes she would just leave the room. But she would at least acknowledge me every morning to basically say, I'm here, you're here, we'll talk later in the day. And that I'm going to miss and kind of expect. It was just part of my routine. Back when we had Oscar, who passed away in 2022, we got him in 2013. He had this habit, and it actually got started at our old house before we moved at the end of 2014. He would come in and kind of curl up at my feet on the bath mat in the bathroom, and he had me reach over and turn on the water for the bathtub. In fact, at our old house, there was a small drip, nothing crazy, just a drip, drip, and he would drink that since it was flowing water. So at the new house when we moved, I would turn the faucet on just at a low volume for him to drink the water, and he just, that was our routine. He would just sit in there with me while I did that, and then, yeah. He used to like to rub my feet too, which is a little odd. He liked the smell of socks. I don't know. I'm sure they smelled a lot like humans. But yeah, another time, Hobo would like me to lay on the bed on my stomach, because she liked to hop up on my back, and she'd kind of knead the dough, make biscuits on my back. Did it hurt? Yeah. Did I put up with it? Yeah. And then after a minute, she'd stretch out, long ways, kind of running down my spine. Sometimes her head pointing to my head, sometimes her head pointing to my butt. But either way, she'd lay there. She'd fall asleep on my back. Sometimes did I need to get up and do stuff? Yep. Did I still lay there and let her sleep for a while? Also, yep. But now that I don't have her anymore, I'm glad I took the time, even if it was just 20 or 30 minutes each day, to just give her that one-on-one attention, because she asked for so little. She was one of those cats that, yeah, she liked pets, but her main deal was she liked to follow me around the house and keep an eye on me, and she was perfectly fine just kind of being in the same room with me. She'd usually be a few feet away, maybe sitting on top of the chair where I was at, or on the cat tree next to my desk. But as long as she could kind of keep an eye on me and I was pretty close to reaching paw distance, she was pretty happy. Yeah, so I'm going to look for her when I get back, even if I don't mean to. The good news is Peanut's been better. When Hobo passed, Peanut was kind of mopey and also a little nervous and jumpy at the house, because she knew something happened. Of course, she didn't know what exactly, so she might have been wondering, am I next? So being out here at the cabin, she wasn't looking for Hobo, and hopefully when I get back, I'm not saying she still won't look for her some, but I think it gave her time, because in cat years, cat time, 2 weeks is a couple of months. So hoping she'll be a little more spunky. We'll just have to see. Yeah, it really is funny being out here. It's just a whole different world from the house. I mean, one benefit about being back at the house is when any new guns or products come in, boom, I'm there. Yeah, Amazon Prime delivery, boom, I'm there. Pretty much any food I could want, we can go pick up at a restaurant nearby, boom, I'm there. My phone works. still doesn't work out here. I'm definitely more connected, more going on, more fast-paced. In some ways, more exciting. Out here, life is by necessity slower. I do plan on putting up a mailbox. I actually got one of the oversized ones meant for Amazon packages. And and in some ways, I actually get more company out here. Yesterday, I had 3 different people that visited me Friday. Today, no, I didn't see anyone today. So some days will go by and I don't see anyone. But on the other hand, back at home, I used to have visitors frequently, at least every couple of days. But as I've said in previous videos, pretty much all my friends have moved on. Even J-Ro with his new job, I just don't see him anymore. It does make me sad, but I can't begrudge him for finally getting full-time work. The other friends moved away. A couple of them intentionally. A couple of them accidentally moved away. One of them, he bought a place that he planned on using for Airbnb. And next thing I know, he's living in it, which is outside of town a good 45 minutes. I mean, his place is almost as far from my place now, and he used to just live down the street from me, as I am from the cabin. And again, that was completely unintentional. Again, I can't begrudge them for living their lives. They have to. I'm here now. But it does mean that I'm kind of strangely lonely in the city. Lots of people, but I don't really know them anymore, who's around. And, you know, when I was a younger person, I was one of those people that could just make friends anywhere I went. New York, Moscow, I used to make somewhere and I could just, I've done that, and I probably still could, but I made so many friends, gotten attached to them, lost them, moved on. After a while, you just kind of go, what's the point? I don't know. That sounds worse than I intended, but after a while, you just kind of don't care so much. I'm struggling for the right phrase, but maybe you'll understand that. If not, I'm sorry. But yeah, it does just kind of. Plus, someone who's completely new, not having a history with them not really knowing you, all the struggles you've been through, you not really knowing them. With an old friend, you've been through so much together that, to me, that means a lot. I guess some people, they're always wanting new. They're wanting to try the newest food, go to the newest places, always meet new people. And I like that too. I can be very adventurous, but at the same time, there's something very comforting and reassuring about a favorite restaurant, a favorite dish that reminds you of home, or friends that you've been through thick and thin with that you know you don't have to really worry. They got your back. You got their back. And I miss that. So it's not just friends, making new ones, but a new friend is different. It's better when you meet a new friend via an old friend, if that makes sense. Like they bring someone over to your place, and yeah. Now, when Jay left the channel, coming up on 4 years ago now, I had some weird dreams. I wouldn't say they're nightmares, but I had weird dreams about going shooting with different people. And just how weird that felt. And it is true, even when it's not, because we had a routine. We'd been shooting together for over a decade, every month, pretty much without fail. So we literally went to the range over 100 times together, probably. So we just had it all worked out. Now, when J-Ro kind of hopped back in, that felt good too, because he and I shot a lot of times back in college and after. So even though we were a little rusty, not quite used to each other, we fell back into a groove real quick and real easy. But yeah, someone wholly new, this kind of makes me miss him. I think, he would have liked this gun or whatever. And Yeah, sometimes it's just hard to find folks that kind of like the same things you do. I don't know. Just a lot of changing life. By the way, I know the swing is squeaking. I'm out in the yard. I'm not going to bother oiling it since I've got to leave, and it's going to probably rain a lot come spring, so I'll oil it next season. But no, stepped outside. I started the washing machine. Also, the computer was acting a little squirrely, so I deleted the files in my recycling bin and turned it off, let it cool down for an hour while I talk with you. I wanted to set out. It's a nice night. The weather since I've been out here has been interesting. Last time I was here, it was pretty bleh. It was kind of cold, hard to get out, rainy. This time we didn't get much rain. If anything, there's kind of a burn ban going on. But we did get some kind of cloudy days. It started off when I got out here, it was pretty chilly of an evening, and then it warmed up once I was out here for a minute. When I've been out here, like, got out here last Saturday, mid that week it got kind of warm through the weekend. Stayed kind of warm through the next Monday. But then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it got really windy. Just super crazy wind. And the temperature just plummeted like a stone. So much so that one evening right as the sun set, I heard sleet hitting the tin roof. It didn't last long, but yeah, it really dropped. And now, yesterday and really today, it's warmed up again. It's not crazy hot. It's 60s, maybe low 70s. But this evening, it's pretty nice out. The winds, I hear it in the trees and in the mountains, but where I'm at here, this little kind of gully, it's pretty well protected. And they must have gotten rain somewhere because the little creek that borders my property right to my right here is flowing, and the larger river that it flows into just right over there across the street, I can hear it. So it's not so dry that I can't hear the rivers, but we could use a good steady rain. Looks like this coming week is going to be kind of middling temperatures, 60s, 70s high, and they are calling for some light rain towards the end of the week. But that's springtime for you. But the weather definitely feels very March-like. Again, the bugs aren't out yet. I did hear some small frogs ribbiting a couple of nights, but not tonight. But no real bugs out chittering yet. And so the woods still kind of sound empty and airy. You know, you hear the wind just blowing through the trees and grounds without all the animal noises, birds, they're not here yet really, and even leaves. It sounds a lot more hollow and open, and in some ways sad and mournful, but in other ways also peaceful. It's kind of, I think, whatever mood you're in. If you're in a depressive mood, it can be very despondent, but if you're kind of in a just, good mood, it just makes you feel comfortable. That said, I am ready for spring. I'm ready for the critters to come back, to hear my birds come again. There were a pair of owls that were roosting in a tree next to, not my bedroom, but the guest bedroom, but I could open the window and hear them hooting, so hope they come back soon. But no, it's been good out here. It surely has, guys. Mixed feelings about going back to town. But to be fair, there's a lot of times when I'm in town, all that's going on, I think, man, do I really want to go to the cabin? I got all this stuff I need to do. And then I get out here and it's great. And that usually happens when I go back to town too. I think about all my nice peace and quiet here and how much more hustle and bustle and traffic and people talking are in town. But once I get there, I get caught up in daily life and kind of all the goings on and new things coming in and business, and that's exciting. And that's me, I think. My entire life, I've been kind of split personality. There's that duality in me that wants both. There's part of me that wants to live in a city and enjoys the fast pace and the new smells and foods and different people. And there is part of me that loves almost being completely alone and isolated and loves to have time to hear themselves think. And also time to do long-term projects. Like, who knows if I would have gotten the Bundeswehr video done, which is about 3 hours in total, although I broke it up into 3 parts. But, having the time out here to really do it, not just record it, but research it and, do some retakes. And when I do videos in town, I feel like I gotta go, or my phone will ring, or I'll hear the UPS truck pull up. And no, I think this might be the perfect solution for me, even if I didn't plan on it. Life just kind of, I come out here to get caught up on the long-term projects, shoot the guns I need to shoot, kind of recharge my mental battery, because I am definitely one of those people that I like being around people. I do. But it does not just emotionally drain me, but I think even physically drain me after a while. Like, after I've been playing host for 6-8 hours to someone, I am physically tired. And so when I'm out here like this, especially on a day like this where I don't have to entertain anyone. Now, yesterday, like I said, I had 3 people that visited, although 2 of them didn't stay very long. I enjoyed it, but yeah, it did tire me out. So I come out here, I kind of regain my center, and then I go to town and I lose it all over again. But I guess at home, the highs are really high, but the lows are unfortunately low. Out here at the cabin, life's just kind of even Steven peacefulness for the most part. And yeah, neither one would be ideal all the time. But no, I'm really glad I did this place. I think in some ways it was the only way forward, because if you go back and look at some black boxes from a year or 2 back, I was kind of needing something somewhere, someplace, something new in life, and this place out here should keep me busy for a while. Somewhere to go when I'm tired of town, when I feel like I gotta get away. It's at least somewhere. And that's just kind of how it is. I can't drive. I think if I could drive, I'd just get a nice car and be like, all right, I'm going for a drive. My father would do that. He just liked to, sometimes when he needed to get out of the house, he'd just go for a drive. Go down by the river, check on that. Just drive around town, see if he saw any of his buddies around. I can't do that. But I can at least get out of my house, because, well, I survived COVID probably better than a lot of folks. It did start to make me go stir crazy, being stuck in the house without a way to get out all the time. So this is probably my way of coping, at least having a place to go to. With the prices of material, lumber, nails, appliances, I'm sure glad we did it in 2023, 2024 instead of waiting till 2025, because I'm sure we could have still built it this year. I bet it would have cost more money. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so. Plus, my builder had time last year. Right now, it seems like he's tied up doing other stuff. I saw him twice while I was down here. Yesterday, briefly, and then about a week earlier for a day. But yeah, I think that the time hit right. Finances are never what they need to be. You always need money, and it was a tight budgetary thing to make this happen. I'm not gonna lie. it pretty much took all the dimes I earned in 2023, 2024 to build this, and some savings and a little bit of short-term loans from a couple of friends and family. It did stretch a thing, but I'm okay with that, because the alternative was boredom and not having a goal, not having a focus. And unfortunately, when you do that, you tend to just while away your money, piss it off away on whatever. Even people that are very economically minded, without a focus, you just kind of lose it. You know what I mean? You gotta have something to put it towards. Now, some people can do the stock market. Again, the way things are right now, I am really glad I didn't go that route. Other people can just save it up in the bank, and that's fine. But that's a little too boring for me. I gotta have a little risk, a little reward in my life. But I feel like now that it's done, and I've been here several times, it was the right move. And even though I presented to friends and family that I knew what I was doing from the get-go, I had my doubts at times. Again, it was a huge investment in money and time. It was putting all my eggs in this basket. If it turned out to suck or become a train wreck, I pretty much just exhausted my resources. And it could have turned out that way. You never know how things will go in life. You just don't. But right now, at least, I'm feeling good. That could change. It could be a turn. I have a doctor's appointment next month. There's something could happen where I get, something's wrong. That's life, especially as you get older. But you also can't live life always worrying about what ifs and maybes in the worst case situation. Oh, that said though, part of me still is kind of in wonder that it actually worked out relatively as well as it did, and pretty much on price point as close as it was. We'll see. All I can do is take a day at a time and try to be grateful, to be thankful. And I am. As much as parts of my life do frustrate me, not being able to drive and whatnot can really get me down some days. My computer is acting up, or they change things and I can't get on a website anymore. It really frustrates me. But I'm also always trying to put it in perspective and realize that I'm a lot more fortunate and I have things good, and instead of focusing on what I don't have, I should just at least acknowledge what I do have. Friends, family. I am fortunate there, blessed there, whatever. Of course, preeminently among all of them is Miss Peanut. That's just how that goes. But no, I promised I'd do a couple of Blackboxes when I was out here to kind of catch up with you guys. And kind of last chance I'll get for a minute. Like I said, once I get back into town, it gets kind of hard to sit down and do these videos. And even tonight, I kind of had to force myself because I've been on the go since I got out here. I took 1 or 2 days, like last weekend, last Saturday and Sunday, I took time to be a lazy slug, but then I was on the go Monday and Tuesday pretty heavy, but it's okay. I like working. I like being busy. I really do. So that's the Blackbox. I'm sure we'll at least have 1 or 2 more when I'm in town, and then we'll see how life's going when I get back out here again. Who knows? Hopefully, I'm sure some good things, and yes, some bad things will happen, but hopefully it's nothing too horrible, too insurmountable. Maybe some good stuff will happen too. That'd be nice. It's nice to have good stuff. Oh, the final thing, the biggest benefit to being out at the cabin I pretty much ignore politics. It's so easy to do out here. You know, I don't see people. It doesn't get brought up as much. I don't tend to check it as much. I really don't know what's happened in politics the last 2 weeks, and I really don't care. And even if I know, nothing I can do about it. I don't mean to have a crappy attitude like that, but shoot, anymore, I don't know who to trust. There isn't a news source that actually just tells you the news. It all gets spun and filtered and presented in the best way or the worst way, just depending on whatever advertisers and corporate overlords they're supporting. Because at the end of the day, that's the problem with news now. It's not about serving the public, informing the public. It's about selling ad space. It's about making money for the investors. So they'll do what they got to do for that. And right now, sensationalism, that's what sells. And it always has. America had this problem before in the late 19th century. Not to mention just lots of political corruption too. I mean, the Teapot Dome scandal, all this stuff with Native Americans and Spanish-American War. And so even though times seem unprecedented, and even though there's definitely some stuff happening, it's not like America was all sunshine and rainbows and roses and butterflies and fairy dust all these years. Who knows? All I know is I've got this one life to live, and I want to do something productive with it. And I'm trying my best I can to do something. Hopefully it's enough. At least it's enough for Miss Peanut. No matter what, she loves me. Well, my laundry's probably about done. I need to go toss her in the dryer, so catch you in a few days. Like I said, I did record a few videos to stick up over the next couple of weeks while I was out here. And a lot of videos coming up on the main Mishaco channel too. With that, this is Misha, wishing everyone a good start to their week. And Peanut and I will catch you very soon next time. Definitely got to oil that next time. Yep.